Good evening. This evening, we're talking about fantastic stories and amazing stories. And the first thing that comes to mind is David W. Allan. And he has amazing stories and what a difference this world is. David, will you tell us a little bit about what's going on, how you got into this fascinating things that you're doing that we're benefiting from?
Happy to do that, Joyce. I would like to say, first of all, how I met you, because that's a very important part of the story for me. Back in 1999, I read your book. I was so impressed with it that I wrote a letter to the publisher, and the day the letter arrived, you walked into the office and called me, and we've been best friends ever since. Thank you very much, because
that's true. Thank you.
I consider your book the best book on the planet to help people who are suicidal. It's an incredible story.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, we do want to.
It's been a great joy to know Joyce.
Thank you. Oh, we've had some good times. And whenever I think of you, I think of Mr. Time, because I can't think of any question I have about time that you can't answer for me.
Well, interesting story there. I graduated in physics with a degree at Brigham Young University in 1960 and went out to the University of Colorado to do my graduate work in Boulder. And atomic clocks were new toys for physicists at that time. They were just being looked at and understood, and so they were just being appreciated for what they could do at the time frame. And so I did my master's thesis, and I was fortunate to have the National Bureau of Standards pay for my tuition if I worked full-time. And so I ended up in the Time and Frequency Division, which is the division which keeps track of the length of the second.
Wow.
Back anciently or through human history, time has been kept astronomically. But because of how well atomic clocks worked in terms of their accuracy and stability, they were shown to be much better than anything astronomical. And so in 1967...
Something we kind of take for granted today. We just don't realize how much had to go into it for us to have...
It's huge. People don't have a clue how impactful this whole thing is. So anyway, in 67, the second was redefined from astronomical to a resonance in the cesium atom. And so the Bureau of Standards where I worked, we had a cesium beam standard, and that defined the length of the second for the United States. And there are other standards in other places in the world. And being a small club of people, I ended up visiting essentially all atomic clock facilities across the globe. So my career path has been very exciting because I've been able to visit lots of places across the globe who have atomic clocks.
Like some of them. Tell us some of them, David.
I helped the Italians and I helped the Israelis and also the Swiss with their atomic clock systems. And international time also kind of came out of the work that we did in Boulder. In my master's thesis in 1965, is entitled The Statistics of Atomic Frequency Standards. And it basically developed a technique on how to characterize atomic clocks. And so that was used when GPS came into view some years later. GPS hadn't been thought of back then, but when GPS came into view, my thesis was used to characterize the clocks to make sure they were accurate and stable enough for the precise timing that was needed, because the atomic clocks are the heart of the GPS system. And I spent many of my years while in Boulder on committees and working with the team who developed GPS. So it was really fun to get to work with those people. I have many colleagues.
In fact, I think we had several calls and some things going on, and I was able to actually talk to you a little bit while you were working on the GPS. That was outstanding, David.
Yeah. When you mentioned GPS early on, they said, "What's that?" Now you talk about GPS, everybody, it's a household word because it's become so important. The interesting thing is that in my lifetime, atomic clock accuracy and stability has improved 1 billion-fold.
Oh my goodness.
It's the fastest growing technology on the planet, and the applications are enormous. When I retired in 1992, Hewlett-Packard contracted with me to help them develop a special GPS receiver to synchronize cell towers. And they also asked me to write a booklet called The Science of Timekeeping. And in it, we list a lot of the application opportunities that have come out of precise timing. And you would be blown away. It's available on my book's website. It's actually available on the internet. It's called The Science of Timekeeping.
And what is your website?
My book's website is it'sabouttimebook.com.
Okay.
And so
I know it's fascinating there.
Yeah, well, that's where most of my blog articles, but my publications are on my first website, which I put up in 1993, and it's called allanstime.com. So,
would you spell that so we have that correctly?
Yeah, so it's www.allanstime.com. So allanstime.com. And you can go there and see, I have, 140 some publications over the years. And the thing that I really want to emphasize for people is that we can do science with the Lord's help. I have learned, and with my master's thesis, he helped me with that. And if you Google Allan Variance, which is my master's thesis, you'll get 50,000 hits or so. It's made me world famous, and I give the credit to the Lord because he helped me do that. And so my joke is, and it's not, for me it's very important, is I know the master physicist.
Oh, that's a good one. Yes, of course you do.
And so he has helped me as I pray and ponder scientific projects. And I have about 7 inventions that the Lord has given me over the years that have impacted the world timing community significantly. And my master's thesis was the first one of those. And so I learned that if you do things his way rather than my way, that's always the best way.
Oh, that's absolutely true. Very, very good. In fact, more and more scientists are coming around to understanding and believing that the Lord is real and God is real. Now, you were telling a little bit about that. What is that? Can you tell us?
In fact, the book that I wrote, it's about time, harmonizes science and religion. And one of the beautiful things I do is I tie the ancient Adamic language and show that in the Bible and in the scriptures that you can prove scientifically the validity of God's word. So
wow.
The book, chapter 3 of my book basically does that, which is quite unique.
Oh, yeah, it's very, very much so. You have several things that you've done in addition. I think they're probably all in the book, but tell us a little bit more.
Well, I worked at the Bureau for 32 years, and during that time helped the navigation community, helped the telecom community, because once we developed things for time and frequency, they also wanted help, and so we developed other technologies. And we also, over the course of my career path, have been able to help design and develop 4 different GPS receivers with different functionality. And in 1987, the Israelis invited me to help them develop improve their atomic clock facility. And so we made 4 trips to Israel, and that was life-changing to be where the Savior walked and talked and taught and worked out his infinite and perfect atonement. And so
no wonder you were called Mr. Time.
Well, the Lord has blessed me greatly, and I'm anxious to share what he has taught me so others can be the beneficiaries of those truths that have come over the years. And so
I thought another thing, if I could bring up something with the GPS, there are some who say they believe the world is flat. I know that sounds funny to some people, but we do know there are those who do believe the world is flat. And the GPS system proves, and you were explaining some of the reasons why they believe that, but also some of the reasons why it could not be true, because you can't do the true GPS system if the world were flat. You have to have it in different locations all around the world, right?
Yeah, so it's fun to think about that, because GPS exists in what they call median orbit altitude, which means it's up about 4.2 Earth radii from the surface of the Earth. And
which about how many miles is that?
Well, the radius of the Earth is about 4,000 miles, and so it's about 18,000 miles.
A good way.
So you can think of it in terms of the radii of the Earth. About 4.2 of those is its altitude, and they're in 12-hour periods, and there are 32 of them in 6 orbital planes. And we can track where those are to within better than a foot. We know where each satellite is better than a foot.
Wow.
And that's part of the GPS positioning, because you have to know position and time. The atomic clocks are stable enough and accurate enough that they keep time to within about a billionth of a second, which we call a nanosecond. And you can think of a nanosecond is the time it takes light to travel about 30 centimeters, which is about 1 foot. So you can think of a nanosecond of being 1 foot of light travel time. And So you can imagine how the GPS system works, and it's really pretty simple, even though it's a complicated system. You can imagine 3 satellites in different parts of the sky transmitting correct time, GPS time, synchronized, all of them synchronized to a nanosecond. And suppose you're on the ground with a receiver synchronized to a nanosecond as well. Therefore, you can measure the distance from each one of those 3 satellites, since they also tell you where they are.
Wow.
So you have effectively an upside-down tripod that tells you your position. Now, in practice, you can't afford an atomic clock in your GPS receiver. It's too costly and too heavy and so forth. So what they do is they put a quartz crystal oscillator, which is very stable, and it can measure over a very short integration time 4 satellites in 4 different parts of the sky, and then you solve for X, Y, Z, and T. In other words, longitude, latitude, altitude, and GPS time. So those 4 equations give you GPS time. So you've turned your quartz oscillator into an atomic clock. It's synchronized to GPS time.
Oh, that just sounds so easy to do.
Yeah. So basically, that's how GPS works.
Wow.
You have to listen to 4 satellites, and you get an instantaneous solution, and it can tell you your velocity and where you are and what time it is.
Well, I found over the years, as I said, almost any question we have about time that you know. And so could you tell us about the smallest measurement of time, what it's called, and how you get to that?
Well,
you go from nanosecond, what's the next smallest?
Well, you can think of it this way. Everybody knows what a second is. For the cesium atom, it's 91926U1770 cycles of its electromagnetic photon. So for a cesium atom, that's what a second is. That's the length of a second. But then you go 1,000 times smaller, you have what's called a millisecond. 1,000 times shorter than that is a microsecond. 1,000 times shorter than that is a nanosecond. 1,000 times shorter than that is a picosecond. 1,000 times shorter than that is a femtosecond. 1,000 times shorter than that is attosecond, and you can keep going. And right now, people are making measurements at the attosecond level.
Wow. That's
Again, time has improved 1 billion-fold in my lifetime.
That is just fascinating. Now, also another thing I know that you know is the Earth's axis, how it turns. And can you tell us a little bit about that, too? Because we are on a very interesting planet here. Well, that's most interesting. And it's always interesting when we hear what's going on from your point of view, and we look down or look back or look up or whatever we're doing. There's always fantastic information there. And yes, we have been very good friends over the years, and it's just really been marvelous to be able to have you help to guide and help to direct someone so that they do read the book and know that there's life after life, and that this life has an important meaning and a purpose for us to make it through these problems. And we learn and grow, and the mind stretched by a new idea never goes back to its original size. So I think this is only fitting that we talk about time and the importance of time and using our time wisely. We'll never have another tomorrow the same as today.
Exactly. And in fact, I should mention that I finished this year another book, which is called Time and Eternity, The End Times and Beyond Revealed. So it basically looks at God's plan for us, where we are in time and where we're headed, and the bright future that He has in store.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, where can they get that book?
If you go to my other book's website, it's available there.
And repeat that website again for us.
It's abouttimebook.com.
Okay, very good. Well, I'm sure there will be plenty of people who are interested in more information on those subjects. It's kind of an eternal subject.
Yeah, and both books are available in audio as well.
Oh, that's marvelous. Yes,
and Kindle.
That is really good. Well, we want to make sure that people know about that and go to there. And appreciate them being on. And if they would like any more information, we can go to my website at hopedoctor.org, leave an email at askwisdom@yahoo.com. Or ask Dr. Joyce at yahoo.com. Thank you for being on here with your fantastic story and the great blessings that you've given to many people and to me as we've gone around and shared the information and helped people to improve their lives and help this world be a better place. We all need help, and if we look around, there are many hurting people around us, and as we help someone else, it helps us. And so we look forward to learning and more about eternity and the time that we are here, because we each only have 24 hours and we never know if we're going to have it tomorrow. So we make the best use of today. Thank you, David. Appreciate this, and I've really enjoyed this.
Okay.